think we're live. I forgot to open up my redundancy window here.
Oh, we are live.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Pals Pulls. It's the dynamic duo here, Tyler
Hey.
and me, Sean. The rest of the crew, they couldn't be bothered. We had to make an exception this week to do this on Wednesday, which is cool for us because it means that we get Thursday off and we get to talk about the books that much earlier. And speaking of the books, we've got four pretty interesting books this week. I think we got Marvel Presents AXE Judgment Day #1, or rather #2. Excuse me.
That cover looks like when I'm trying to grab the chips that are laying underneath my desk at work, like when I'm working. Just that's what the chips see before they get devoured.
You know what? If that's the case, you're pretty buff, dude.
Did I ever? Oh yeah. I mean, obviously. Did I ever tell you about the recurring dream I've had for years, where I would be in a pack of Oreos and I would assume I'm an Oreo and just constantly see this hand take out each Oreo one by one until I'm the last one, and then the dream ends. Had it at least three times in my life.
That is absurd.
Yeah, sort of reminds me of that cover.
I don't know how to take that. That's really weird.
If anyone does dream therapy, dream reading, I think that's the word I'm looking for. Please let me know. Cause
sounds like you want to get eaten out, buddy.
Hey, single ready to mingle, Sean. Let's go.
We also have Predator #1. Not something I expected.
That's a nice cover. Is that a McNiven?
Ooh, the way I don't know. Let's see if there's any signs.
McNiven's
Finch,
signature.
Finch.
Oh, where's my boy Finch been?
Yeah, I was Finch.
Me too, man. I was a big fan of him. You're a big Fear, not Fear itself.
What was the one?
The DC one. Fear. God, we're getting old. There's too many events in our head.
Not Fear State. You're not talking about Fear State.
No, that's Batman. I feel like Fear was in the title. I don't know. When you name an event, AXE Avengers X-Men Eternals Judgment Day #1 presented by Marvel Comics. A couple other events just fall out. There's only so much space that I can keep in there.
Well, speaking of events, we have an event tie-in: Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Green Lantern. That's also a mouthful.
Yep. Don't know algebra now, thanks to that. Thank you.
And something a lot simpler, we have the physical debut of Love Everlasting with Love Everlasting #1.
I like the cover.
Yeah, I don't know why I got this one. I've seen the OG cover way too many times, so I just wanted something different.
I had to Photoshop it into when we first made the announcement, so I futzed around with that one a lot, so I've seen that cover a lot myself.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the reviews of these fine books, let me tell you fine folks how you can support this fine podcast. There's always a link tree that will give you a link to all of our stuff in the description of anything we do. But of course, I want to shout out patreon.com/thecomicspals, where for as little as $3 a month, you can support your boys. And you can get our newsletter. This week, I kind of talked a little bit more about the Batgirl, Warner Brothers Discovery situation. Still on my brain, so I wanted to kind of get some of that out there. So that's what you're going to expect this week. You can also check out our exclusive Patreon show, Palling Around, and you can get your name shouted out on the main show. You can get a superhero or supervillain nickname and a weekly shout out on the main show over on our Patreon page. If you want to watch this live, twitch.tv/thecomicspals every single Thursday. Today is Wednesday. You're watching live. We needed to do it on Wednesday, and unfortunately, Marco couldn't join us. But normally you could catch us on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern and 10:15 a.m. Eastern on Saturdays for the main show. Chainsaw Man Book Club. Keep watching it. Convince us to do another group of volumes.
I'm ready. If you want the manga pals to be a thing, I'm ready.
I'm about to cancel my subscription, man.
to Shonen Jump,
yeah,
or to the Comics Pals in general.
Shonen Jump.
Okay,
I can't cancel my subscription to this.
fair. I can't do a one-man show.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about AXC Judgment Day #1 or #2. Why do I keep saying #1? Kieran Gillen, Valerio Schiti, Martha Gracia, and Clayton Cowles.
No, that doesn't sound good.
I really liked the first one. I really did. This was what I dreaded the first one would be. Way too much narration. Way too much.
There was a lot.
Yeah, it was brutal. The first page, I'm going to show it. The first page is just all these random civilian people, what they think about what's going on.
Just a bunch of NPCs there.
Yeah, all narrated by, I'm assuming it's Arishem the judge. That's correct. That's what you got too, right, Tyler?
Yeah, it's whoever that celestial is that they reanimate, which I believe is Arishem.
Yeah, that's kind of the main celestial, anyways.
That's the one in the movie, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I always have thought in the comics that, well, I guess he was dead, but that he had gone crazy, just like they showed in the movie. So I guess maybe he's cleansed, or maybe he is crazy. I don't know.
I think that's the premise of it too. As to why he's quote unquote dead.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, the narration just took me so far out of the book that I had a hard time enjoying much.
Yeah, this was a bit of a slog for me too. I think it definitely helps having Valerio Schiti on it. Because damn, that shit looked good. Yeah. Specifically, like a couple of panels that jump out to me is like when Exodus is getting rebirthed from the egg. Dude is svelte. There's just one panel. It was like a middle panel of Magic, just looking back, like over her shoulder, Alex Jones style. And the way it's lit and the way it's colored, and like it's just like this one panel that doesn't really mean much, but it just looks so good. It's like a good Magic panel, and I'm a big fan of Magic.
Trying to see if I can find that.
Again, it's not a significant panel, but it jumped out to me for some reason. So I can gush over the art in this. It is a damn good looking book. But yeah, it was a lot to get through. This is essentially one giant kaiju battle spread out across an entire issue. That is then being narrated by a less charismatic version of the Machine from Gillen's Eternals run. A much more robotic, a much more black and white version of that. I will say that I am intrigued where we go from here. This kind of seemed like one of those things where, like, oh, we got to get all the exposition out of the way, kind of get all our pieces on the board, so that we can tell the story we're actually going to tell. Which by the time this issue's done is, I kind of feel like we get to that point. But there was just a lot to read in this, to the point where like some of the art was even covered, like because just so many little boxes everywhere,
Yeah, that was a huge surprise. I mean, I've complained on this podcast about, Kieran Gillen, who I think is super talented, just over writing stuff. Not a problem in Immortal X-Men. But I don't know. This was just too much for me. And then the fact that it covered up some of the art, like you said, that's a huge no-no. And you got to figure that that's frustrating from an art standpoint, to do the work and then have to have it covered up. And it was pretty egregious. And again, I love dialogue. Obviously, I
That's
want
your hobby.
Good. I want good quality dialogue. Unfortunately for me, I don't even remember anything that was said in this comic. There weren't any like really great standout lines. When you read an event, you there's lines you remember, like and there's nothing from this yet.
I did like the Cyclops bit where he's like, "Well, I should have planned for the Eternals coming with giant monsters to destroy the island. Well, guess I missed the obvious." Like I thought that was a fun little bit, like the master
Yeah.
strategist that is Cyclops, kind of being a little funny during this catastrophic moment.
Yeah, it was a cute line, but like, it doesn't feel epic. As bad as this situation is for them, and basically what's going on is, Krakoa is under siege by these. I don't know if they're exactly Celestials, but
I think they're
are
technically Eternals,
right. Yeah,
but they're giant
right.
kaiju. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a rough battle. And there are a lot of lives that are lost, but for some reason it doesn't feel that grim to me. Like it doesn't feel like it's on the line, like in Dark Crisis, not to compare, but in Dark Crisis, even though the end is completely transparent, the Justice League will come back, I care about that journey right now. I feel like these characters are at risk. We've seen some people die already. And of course, for them, they don't have the ability to just instantly resurrect, whereas the mutants do. So because of that, something more has to be at stake than just them dying, because them dying is, irrelevant. And I'm not getting the stakes here. At the end, I did with Arishem. That, yeah. But the battle felt inconsequential.
I thought the stakes were supposed to be that the what's it called, the place where all the eggs are,
Abermagna?
the cradle is it?
The cradle.
Yeah, the cradle was under siege, and they knew where to attack and where to destroy to prevent them from resurrecting going forward. I thought that's what the stakes were, but like there weren't actually, like, those are big idea stakes rather than like if the cradle was then destroyed, the stakes would be, oh, now whoever dies, it's permanent.
But did it even seem like the cradle was that at risk?
Not until the end where he started like attacking the island itself. I was like, oh, okay, hold on a second.
Right.
But then we get the quick turn of Arishem showing up. So
yeah. Again, the art was good. I enjoyed the. I said before there wasn't anything memorable dialogue wise. I did enjoy the conversation between Captain America and Cyclops.
Yeah,
there's
I like
a lot
that
of history
relationship.
there.
Yeah,
Cap kind of calling Cyclops out for keeping secrets, and Cyclops giving, saying the right thing, saying the only thing that makes sense, which is like, well, why would I tell you anything? Like, because of our history, what reason would I have to tell you anything? It's accurate, and I like when Cap gets called on his bullshit a little bit.
Yeah, because those two are cut from the same cloth in a way.
Yeah.
But they've been, I guess, rivals is a better word for it. I guess when Scott went full evil in what was it, AVX towards the end there, it was more of a villainous versus hero dichotomy. But
he was abducted by the Phoenix. Be fair.
Sure. I mean, hey, I'm a big proponent in Cyclops is right. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Where do you think this story goes?
I think it's going to become a situation where the Eternals are required to stop Arishem. That's the only way that it can be done. And they're going to have to deal with overcoming their prime directive to help the Avengers and the X-Men defeat the Celestial. That's what it seems like. And like I like the idea of having to defeat a Celestial being a big deal. Arishem, I'm into that. I like the way this book ended, that big twist or whatever. But that's not what I bought into this for.
Yeah, because my question is, then where's the conflict?
Right.
It's heroes versus big robot, which that is dumbing it down to the lowest common denominator there. But like, sure, this wasn't really billed as, Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals. I think there might have been some assumptions that were made based on the marketing of it, because it harkened back to like Inhumans versus X-Men or AVX. But like now we know what the Judgment Day part of it is. I'm just curious, like, who's going to be on the side of like, well, Arshem's right. Like if there is some ideological divide, that's what I'm interested in. Something like the reason why Civil War was so good, because there was an ideological divide. And I think when you have players like a Druig or a Mr. Sinister, like there could be that divide there. But I just don't see it yet. There's potential, but I don't see it yet.
The problem is that I think that divide has to come from characters who who otherwise stand together.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's why Civil War worked. If it's Druig and Sinister who side with Arishem, I don't, bad guys being bad. What's new?
Yeah, exactly.
The Eternals' prime directive pulling them toward his side, that could be interesting. But again, it's kind of like, here are these characters who can't help what they have to do. I don't know how compelled I am by that, and that's my issue. So I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. I could see a fight breaking out between the Eternals and the X-Men in defense of the Celestial, but ultimately, if the Celestial's the big bad, that doesn't do it for me. And if they're going to introduce that concept, I think issue 3 diving into that is a little bit late. Kind of reminds me of the argument that you and Marco made against Dark Crisis.
Dark Crisis, yeah. How many issues is it? 6?
I believe it's 6. Let me see if
Okay.
there's an indication here. It looks like it's going to be 6. Yeah, 5 core issues and then an Omega issue.
I mean, we're not even halfway there, and it's made more forward momentum than Dark Crisis, I feel, at least in terms of overarching plot. Whereas Dark Crisis is already halfway there. Sorry, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths.
It's not that yet.
Fair. I don't know. I still have faith in the team to like say, all right, I still believe in you guys. I think you can pull something out here. But it wasn't the most fun for me.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't. I didn't have a good time reading it. And you're right. The creative team is super capable, and the first one knocked my socks off. So, if the third one can pick it back up, that's cool with me. I'm still interested, but we gotta get to the characters being compelling. I don't like plot-centric events, if that makes sense. I want character-driven events.
Fair.
And I think that's why I'm enjoying Dark Crisis more. We're seeing those character moments. This is just beat, without character work being included yet.
I just had a horrible flashback, though. So I'm like, oh, let me think of another character-driven event. Oh, Civil War II, where it was just character, and it was mischaracterized characters, and there was no real plot. Oh, boy.
That was brutal.
Looked good.
But the concept was awesome.
Sure.
It was
the character assassination of Carol Danvers is what that was.
Let's not even get into that.
Sorry, like Civil War II is like my Heroes in Crisis.
What? All right, fine, that's fair. Although Heroes in Crisis should be your Heroes in Crisis because that was rough.
Stand by it.
No, you don't. You said last year that you didn't stand.
I stand by it. I will stand by it in against Civil War II. Civil War II is a travesty in my opinion.
It is. Yeah. It definitely is. And I think I met Bendis the year that came out, and I told him I really liked it.
You fucking liar.
I did, yeah. I think I did. Yeah, I had to. But if issue 3 doesn't pick it back up, I'm gonna have to change my tune.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Yeah. I think we're in agreement here. But I'm also I'm just like a comic book fanboy. So like, if it's an event book, pull is usually the default in my mind.
Oh yeah, that's just for the audience. I'm pulling it no matter what. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Okay. Yeah. You're a Mark. You're an unabashed
Yeah,
Mark. Same. I
exactly.
got it.
Make no bones about that. What I'm not a mark for is Predator. I've never encountered Predator anything. I watched the movie on
Never
TBS
watched
when I was a kid, but I don't remember.
Predator, Predators 2, To Catch a Predator, nothing like that.
That I've seen.
Okay. All right.
And you want to hear something really funny?
Oh boy, what did I unleash here?
Okay, well, first of all, please. So during the pandemic, my girlfriend and I got really, really into watching To Catch a Predator clips on YouTube, which there was just this deluge of clips posted. And so for my birthday, she thought it would be really funny and cool to get me a
Wait,
cameo.
I was gonna say Chris Hansen cameo.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, so I have that.
Were you watching the one where a guy showed up naked and he brought razors?
I've seen everyone.
Yo, that's a depressing show. That is a rough bit of business. And like
It really
like
is.
during its prime, it was like when AIM was a thing. So like they're just in a little chat room, like
Oh,
you're the
it's
creaking
so
door
good.
open when they're back online. You know.
Yep. Did you ever watch the modern version? It's not called To Catch a Predator. It's called like something with Chris Hansen. It's a YouTube show.
I just know that he got caught himself
No, he did not.
cheating and didn't finish. He got caught cheating by his wife.
Oh, okay.
And then like a private investigator like caught him in the act with the camera, which I
Yeah.
thought was like, hey, might have the turntables.
There's a dude. Listen, you want to cheat on your wife? You go right ahead. You want to do something with kids?
Sure, no, there's
I mean, please call the police, but also
yeah, maybe don't call a guy with a I'm not gonna say he has a drinking problem, but I've seen modern day pictures of him. Let's just say,
dude, why? What is this bash fest with Chris Hansen? He's a hero.
tell his wife that.
All right, listen. Do you think Gandhi's a hero?
Oh, Gandhi did some shit.
All right, but do you think Gandhi's a hero?
I think Ben Kingsley is for playing Gandhi in that movie.
All right, let's talk about Predator. This is by Ed Brisson. Ed Brisson being given one of the big IP books, so that's pretty cool.
Especially right now. Whew.
Yeah. Right, with Prey having just come out.
Prey lighting up the Hulu charts. The most watched first day release of any Hulu movie or TV show.
Unreal.
Which is wild, yeah. And it's got like a 90-something or like a high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. From like both ends, it's doing good. Predator is a hot commodity again.
I want to make some time to watch it.
Same.
It's been getting rave reviews. The art's by Kev Walker. Real good Kev Walker stuff, I thought. Here.
Yep.
Frank D'Armata on colors and letters by Clayton Cowles. So I don't know anything about the Predator, like I said. So I read and I never really do this, but Marvel includes a recap page in almost all their books.
I read it too, yeah.
Yeah, and it gave me exactly what I needed to know.
I don't know why I read it either. Something drew me to it. I don't know what it was.
I didn't know shit.
But like I had to read it in my head. Like this, like it felt important. Dude, that's weird. I don't think of letters like a recap page. It made me like subconsciously trick me into reading it.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
So that was it. Kind of set us up. Gives you the, I guess it tells you what happens in all the movies. You know, like the general.
Besides the Alien versus Predator ones, it doesn't mention those.
Right.
Which
that
fair.
They
yeah.
Kept that. Yeah, because we don't talk about that. But, and then it gets right into the story of this family and a girl who is off doing her own thing, gets away from her family. It's in the deep future. I think it's in the 2050s.
Yep.
And her family just gets annihilated by a predator. And it jumps between that story and the story of her as an adult trying to, catch a predator.
She is the future Chris Hansen.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And that's what the story is. And it's a very simple story.
Yep.
but I thought it was really effective. I thought Ed was able to hone in on our main character Theta's feelings of guilt and also her desire for revenge. And establishing that even though she has been on this mission for quite some time and she has had some success, these predators are still scary. The universe over, the galaxy over, they're a threat.
So honestly, this was my book of the week out of the four.
Yeah, I think it was mine too.
I thought it was a super, super simple way to tell like just a good meat and potatoes predator story. So the predator stories are never really about the predators; it's about the prey, which is what the most recent movie, I guess, seems to lean in on. But this prey, this prey doesn't fuck around. This prey is a hunter of predators. So it's almost like a Moby Dick story. I feel like where she's looking for her great white whale, this specific predator who is missing a mandible, who killed her family. It's violent. It's the way it jumps between the past and the present, I think, is really well done. Because you're learning about our POV character from both sides of her equation. When she's already this hardened predator hunter, and then when she's a hopeless child. I think bouncing back and forth makes me actually like her more because I'm getting both sides of her. It is pretty violent in the way it kills things, which it's a predator. It's a predator thing. You gotta have that.
Yeah.
There's a giant headshot where this guy gets his head exploded. You don't even see like the bits and pieces of it. Real good sound effect work. The onomatopoeia there. Yeah, that was really good. I'm a big Kev Walker guy. I think Avengers Arena jumps out to me as like one of my favorite things he's done. Wow,
I didn't read that. Wow.
Oh, that's a good one, man. That whole era of Marvel with the young heroes. They never really became Young Avengers, but through like Avengers Academy into Arena, real whirlwind of stuff. Even takes in some initiative stuff too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good. It didn't need to be anything else. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think it's smart bringing it to the future because you can play with a little more of the sci-fi element of it. You bring it into a modern day setting, then I don't know. You get Predator 2, which, Sean, if you don't know much about Predator, not great. It's not great.
That's the one to skip.
That's the one with Danny Glover, I believe, as the our main police officer, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's watchable, but it ain't great. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really fun. Again, it's super simple, so I don't really know what to really say about it. But that is just like a really solid book.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I think you said it all. Like, it accomplishes exactly what it needs to do, almost flawlessly. The only minor gripe I had was just, again, too much narration. Not narration so much as like, the ship's dialogue. I thought
you hate machines talking.
Because it's always. It's funny. I actually love machines talking, but it's almost always done in a way that's grating and annoying.
You ever watch Moon?
No.
It's by the David Bowie's son who directed the Warcraft movie. Really good movie. Kevin Spacey plays like the spaceship AI. It's very, very good. That might change your mind on spaceship AI. It's a fantastic.
Well, but that's
sci-fi
another
movie.
thing. I think it works way better when you can actually hear it.
Fair.
Yeah, I think in comics it doesn't translate the same way.
Like a HAL situation for 2001: A Space Odyssey sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
You get that.
So yeah, I do think this is my book of the week as well. I didn't expect that at all.
Oh, I didn't at all.
Yeah, I just was like, hey, it's Ed Brisson and Kev Walker. I'm sure it'll be solid, but I don't know anything about Predator. I had no idea what the concept was going to be. This was great. If you pick up one book that was not on your pull list this week, I think it should be this, because you'll be surprised.
I agree, and it's like typically IP books scare me away. They're not historically that good. because you're kind of forced to play around what you actually know, so you don't mess up their movies or whatever, or their TV shows or whatever. They work their way around there really well in this.
Yep. Fantastic job. Really, really, really good stuff. Now, on to the next event. Well, this is an event tie-in book, but the next event book. Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Green Lantern, #1. Say that 5 times fast.
No, thanks.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. So, it's worth explaining again, for anyone who's confused, that the characters who were there whenever, what's the guy,
Pariah, yeah.
like, annihilated them, the Justice League members who were present for that, they're not dead. They are essentially being used. Their energies are being used to rebuild the infinite Earths, the infinite worlds. And each issue of Worlds Without a Justice League, each title, is giving us a look at what is going on for the character whose energy is funneling into this rebuilding process. And that's what we get here with Green Lantern. It's a John Stewart focused book. And it presents him, I don't know if you got this vibe. I got almost Superman vibes.
Yeah. I was getting, literally when he has the hammer, I was getting John Henry Irons.
John Henry, I thought of Steel.
I was thinking of Steel and Black Hammer, honestly. Like this weird kind of alternate DC-ish type of world. So I was getting that kind of vibe.
You know what? I really liked it. I really did.
Okay.
It's not, I don't think it's a great comic book. That's why it's not my book of the week. But rarely do you get a book where a character like John Stewart, who, it's weird, outside of the comics, I think John Stewart is a lot more popular and prominent than inside the comics.
He's the most recognizable Green Lantern, I feel, because of the JLA at JLU cartoon.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so for me, even though I know that, I didn't watch a lot of that. I know Green Lantern from the books. And in the comics, Hal Jordan's the guy. So I love a comic book like this that gives me FaceTime with John Stewart, even though it's not actually in continuity. But he's celebrated here. He's presented as like a hero's hero, this real heroic figure. And this issue, I neglected to say the creative team, but it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And Johnson is a war veteran. Johnson is a I guess you could say a war hero.
Yeah.
And so the way that John is presented, I was almost reminded of that. Like, what he wants to do is be at home with his family, protect the ground. You know what I'm saying? But what he's called to do is go fight, go risk his life, go be away from his family to protect. The way he's able to protect his family is by going to outer space and putting his life on the line. And how crazy that is, to have to do. And I don't know, I got something out of that.
I did not care much for this, honestly. I didn't feel there was, it's a good little character introspective into who John Stewart is at his core. He's the protector. Bringing in the fact that he's an architect and that he's finally doing the thing that he wants to do. I always like when, writers remember that, John Stewart's an architect. That's why he's the best at constructs.
Right.
Compared to everyone else. Like him and Kyle are the big two because Kyle's an artist, John's an architect. Just their brains are wired that way. I thought that was a good thing, how they kind of stressed that, and that's what his happy place would be. But there's this nameless villain that it looks like it's like the Omega. It had the Omega symbol on it, so it looks like it's a bit of the darkness, I guess, seeping through. That they're fighting in the main Dark Crisis book. But it just didn't feel, I hate to say this, but it didn't feel important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it felt like it felt like big 2-event tie-in one-shot, which is what it is. But it didn't feel like it was trying to be anything more than what it was. If that makes sense.
It does. The Superman issue of this felt like it had more gravity. I think that's because it was showing us something that it felt like it felt like almost like the lost era for Superman and his son John. And it felt like you could slot it in to some degree into what Superman's life really is. Even though it didn't happen. This doesn't it doesn't go out of its way to like be big. For lack of a better term. And maybe some of the stuff I said about like, you know, Jon Stewart being this like, you know, veteran of war, not literally, but just in concept that he's the hero of this world and he has to fight and, you know, go and do these things. Maybe that could have been more emphasized. Maybe Philip could have brought more of that to the forefront. But again, I think just as a Jon Stewart story, small scale as it may be, especially when you consider the art, the Fernando Blanco art, Jordi Belair did the colors, and Troy Pateri did the
I did like the art. I thought there were some interesting designs there. I think it was, speaking of Steel, Steel's daughter was there as one of the lanterns.
Right.
So that was a good little nod to that. I thought the art was fine. I love when you can draw more Green Lanterns. It's just like a fun character, a fun type of character to draw. For me, that was kind of the strength of it. A lot of tentacles too, gang.
God.
Yeah. Just bring back a bit from my old podcast. That never mind. You guys don't even listen to that. It doesn't exist anymore.
Sure did. So, would you pull or pass?
I'd pass. This is a pass for me.
Man, I think I would pull if you're interested in Jon Stewart, but otherwise, you know, if you're not really trying to drop $5, which I was surprised this was a $5 comic,
because there's a Hawk Girl backup in it.
That didn't justify the price tag. I couldn't have cared less.
That did less than the main story did in terms of telling you what's happening. Yeah.
I would have preferred if that wasn't there and this was just a $4 book.
Same.
And I think that's something that DC's got to get better about, because they stuff backups into a lot of their comics that are just not needed. Like, what was the point of this one?
The Hawkgirl backup?
Yeah.
Just because she's a character that presumably in the story has to have her own world because she was in the Justice League, but we don't want to give her a full issue.
Right.
So
yeah, fair enough. They did that with
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Did the Superman
too.
one have a? Oh, it was Aquaman. That was
yeah.
Okay.
And that one was like incomprehensible.
Really?
I defy you to go read that and tell me what happened. Like it was absurd.
I'm almost there. I'm almost caught up to that week.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. Speaking of incomprehensible, let's talk about Love Everlasting #1.
Really?
We'll talk about it. So this is Tom King, Elsa Chartier. Hopefully I got that right.
Chartier, yeah. I think you're in the
ballpark.
Yeah.
Matt Hollingsworth did the colors, Clayton Cowles on letters, and Tom Muller did the designs. Always a pleasure to see him. So you tell me what you got on this.
I'm
sorry. Yeah. Real quick. This is the physical release of a Substack comic. So Tom and Elsa have a Substack where this is the basis of it. And we're finally caught up to the physical release stuff. So this is like 4 tales from that.
Yeah.
Put together. So go ahead.
So I think it reads much better as this single issue. Because we kind of get what the hook is. Sort of. You get a taste of it. So this is a play on classic, romance comics of yesteryear. It plays on the different time periods. We get like this working girl, post-war kind of setting. We get the Western setting. We get this psychedelic hippie setting in it. And it's all, tackling the traditional tropes of romance comics. Like, oh, I'm in love with my friend's, boyfriend. Oh, I'm in love with the guy my parents say I can't be in love with. And I like that because we don't really get something that straightforward in comics anymore. But throughout all these different stories, it's the same main character, Joan, I believe her name is.
Yes, Joan.
She's realizing, like, oh, I remember the stuff from the other stories you just read. So there's this thread throughout that is kind of smelling like some kind of sci-fi element to it. That, by the end of this first issue, she has another, like, post-war love story where she's in love with a guy who's terminally ill. And then she just looks in the mirror and says, oh, fuck. Like, she knows something's up. So it's hooked me to the point where I'm like, I'm very interested. But also, this is my type of art. Darwin Cook, R.I.P., is one of my favorite artists of all time. And Elsa is kind of continuing that feel that Darwin kind of had. It's a super clean and cartoony, almost Paul Dini-like art style.
Yes. Yeah.
That I love. And the fact that it can kind of tackle all these different time periods, it's right down my alley, honestly. Do I really know what's going on? No, I don't. But I'm intrigued enough to give this at least an issue 2.
And I think that's what I meant by incomprehensible. For sure.
Sure. Yeah, it's purposely.
Yeah, like each individual story, is a romance story, and as you get past the first one, you kind of see, oh wait, something is wrong here. This woman Joan is going through something, and it's sort of meta in that sense, like you pointed out. I enjoyed all that. I thought that was great, and the art I also really liked. I have never been exposed to Elsa's work before. I don't know if you have, but I thought it was really good.
Unstoppable Wasp by Jeremy Whitley was drawn by her. That was the Natasha, I believe, not Nadia or something like that.
The new Wasp, right?
Yes, that was Elsa.
Wow. Okay. Cool. And
who I've met at New York Comic Con. Very, very nice person. Yeah, Elsa's great. Yeah.
Cool.
This is back when I was trying to get interviews and stuff for my old podcast. So
you were trying to get interviews?
I did one interview the whole time. Yep. Didn't try hard enough, apparently. But Elsa was cool.
That's awesome. But, for a first issue, it introduces a mystery. But I really feel like that's all it did. Like,
yeah.
King's dialogue is slavish to the romance style of dialogue from yesteryear. Mm-hmm. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But I think you have to kind of like that to really get anything out of this so far. And I've never been exposed to it. I didn't really care. I don't care if she falls in love with Ricky or Bobby. I want to know why this is I want to know why this is happening to her.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
It's only a $2.99. Oh no, it's $3.99. Never mind.
Almost drew the line. Not quite.
Yeah, I was about to say, for $2.99, sure thing. But if issue 2 gets us to where we're starting to understand, sure. I trust Tom King. Tom King is phenomenal, and he's been on a roll.
Yeah, Tom King did this before he was big. It was one of those DC. I think it was like they had these anthologies years back where they did kind of themes, and everyone would write little stories in it. Tom King wrote this short story about time travel, where a guy went back in time to kill a baby Hitler, I believe. Phenomenal. That was like the first Tom King I ever read. I remember like listening to it on iFanboy or something because they were like, "Oh, this is the guy that was in our forums,"
Oh wow.
Yeah. So knowing like I have faith in him to do something that's not even a big 2 property, like Tom King doesn't really like all of his big things are IP. Vision. Hell, fucking Omega Men's still technically IP as much as they won't ever touch those characters outside of Tom King, I bet. But like his creator-owned stuff, we don't. There's not much outside of like Sheriff of Babylon that I could think of.
Oh boy, yeah, that's the only thing that comes to mind.
So, just the idea that we get a Tom King creator-owned book with such a distinct artist, that's enough to keep me going at least a couple issues. Honestly, I can't imagine reading this week to week as the way it was for Substack.
Yeah,
Because I would have lost the thread long ago.
yeah.
But I think as I guess 4 of these issues are in one here, now I'm interested. Yeah.
I'm hesitant to say pull this,
Hmm.
but I think the reason why I'm going to pull this week for this book is because of the creative team.
Yeah. Yep.
And because I feel like if this was all it was going to be, right? And obviously it's not. Like, it's clearly more. If that were all it was going to be, that would not be worth publishing. As
Yeah.
much as, like, this is nice, right? If it was just, hey, this girl's in love with all these different people, that would not be worth publishing. Whatever's happening underneath this is the hook. It's the reason why they're doing this. It's the reason why it was worth putting a Substack together. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want
and
that reason.
And right now we've only seen the tip of the hook. Like we don't
Yeah.
know what the hook is really. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll pull with that copy.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm gonna pull as well. I just think it's a pretty strong creative team.
Yeah.
And it's nice to look at. So, especially if you're like a fan of like classic Archie books or something like that, like that kind of feeling is there. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it for our reviews. Now, normally we would jump into Comics Tag, but unfortunately, Marco was not
called
able
into
to join us.
work last minute. Yeah.
Yep. So he was tasked with reading the first couple of issues of Grant Morrison's Batman. You'll hear from him next week on that. But unfortunately, that means we don't have a Comics Tag.
Do you want to wax poetic about this for a little bit?
Let's do it. Sure. We got time to fill.
I love this shit, man. This is my Batman. Like, this is where I started reading Batman. Strange as it may be, it was Grant Morrison's run. Like, it was during Grant Morrison's run where I went back and I read like Long Halloween. I read, I think I read Dark Victory at some point. You know, this was the gateway drug for me to Batman.
Yeah.
And it is just Morrison seeds stuff in issue 1 that you don't get payoff till on right before he leaves the book, you know, or they, sorry, rather. Morrison is a master at this. I think this is one of the best Batman runs of all time. Definitely the longest, right?
I want to say so. I mean, Tom went for
a while,
100, right? But I mean, if you consider the run to be everything from Batman 5, whichever 5 whatever, to the end of Batman Incorporated, I think he's got it. Or they, I'm sorry. Geez.
Yeah.
I think they.
Well, I think I'm curious to see if I'm just tricking myself because of the amount of different books there were. It was, Batman, then it was Batman and Robin, then it was Batman Resurrected. What was the one where he was throughout space or whatever? Space and Time.
The Return of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, which is in the collected the Omnibuy.
Sure is. I got that.
Is that where we get like Barbados originally? At least that I can think of.
Yeah,
man, this is good stuff. It's good Joker too. Batman RP is good Joker.
I thought it was great Joker.
Yeah.
It's Joker that I think a lot of the modern the writers who came after Grant and tackled Batman were inspired by, not necessarily that exact presentation, but the idea that the Joker could so radically change.
Yep.
It was something that happened in the books, but I don't think it was something that a writer had really vocalized. People knew the Joker was a malleable character, but that this was a reinvention that the character did to himself as a part of like a rebirthing process. I think that's something that we're seeing. We even recently saw 3 Jokers by Jeff Johns. I don't know if there's a 3 Jokers book if it's not for Grant kind of vocalizing this idea.
Yeah, or even think of how Snyder had many iterations of the Joker throughout his run. And like I think for me, one of the big things about this is that it introduces a lot of characters that have had staying power since. Damian, first and foremost. I think it rejuvenates Talia in a way.
It made her a main player.
Yeah, Dr. Hurt, Professor Pig. You know, Pig. I think Professor Pig is one of those like side rogues gallery characters that I think he's on the cusp for like a big moment. You know, a pig moment, one would say. Like I think it's like make that the next villain of Pattinson's Batman. Like I think there could be something there. Yeah. I love Professor Pig, man. Like the dolls and stuff. Ugh. But even like the Red Hood was a big, reinvention of that character too.
So, for me, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Do we know how far Marco got? No, right?
No, I'm not sure.
He said he had thoughts though, so we'll have it next week.
He said he had thoughts. It's my favorite run of all time. I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this came at a time in my life where like I was clinging to comics as like a lifeline, dude, and
Fair, yeah.
I was scared to read Batman because of the number 5, whatever. I was like, oh my god. In fact, I got into it after 666.
Same.
So for me, it was like 5, 6, 9 or something like that.
I got into it at the announcement of RIP.
Oh, okay.
Like right before RIP, and I kind of went back and did it. Yeah.
My first issue was actually, I remember the exact specific one that it was. It was the one where Batman fights the Third Man, and he gives him a heart attack. The Third Man gives Batman a heart attack, and he cuts off the glove. He has his other hand. His hand is actually under the glove, and then he beats the Third Man's ass. And then he runs away, and Batman realizes that something bigger and deeper is going on. That was my first issue of that, and it's magic. I feel like creators are the only true magicians that exist in the world, and I think what I learned from Grant was that there is a way to take what you feel and think about things and the stories that you want to tell, and to inject that into other people through words, through images, through sounds. There were no sounds, but like I learned that was what you could do through this comic book, and it made me want to tell stories. I owe a lot to this book.
And the way they kind of lean into the Silver Age Batman stuff is what I loved, and is what Grant continues to do in his Action Comics run with Superman. Grant not shying away from the goofy shit that should be still in continuity and making it like work with continuity, I think is one of their strong points, honestly. They did it more recently with Green Lantern too. Was it like an evil version of Mxyzptlk was like the Action Comics bad guy, I think, for a bit. Oh man, it's good stuff.
We've now talked longer than Marco would have, for sure.
I know. Well, I mean, it's one of our favorites. So
yeah. One day I really want to talk more in depth about it, but it's too much for a book club. So we'll have to figure out a way to do that.
It is, yeah. Like my gut says R.I.P. is a good one, but you need I have the knowledge of what came before, you know. But like, can you start at the beginning? Not really, because you don't get the payoff. So
right.
I think Batman and Robin as a collection might be the best bet. It's like, oh, Nightwing's Batman. Here's Damian. Have fun.
I guess. Dr. Hurt, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a hard one.
It's really difficult, and this is the last thing I'll say, but I'm like hot on this. This harkens back to an era of comics and a style of storytelling that I deeply miss, which is that granularly connected serialized storytelling. You couldn't just read Batman and Robin. Like you could do it. You could literally physically do it, but there would be so much that wouldn't add up, or the payoff wouldn't really connect with you in the same way. You wouldn't understand things, and I miss when comics were okay with that. Like, hey, you can go and find out. Like, Wikipedia exists, back issues exist. Go do your homework and come back, and you'll be rewarded. I miss
Yeah.
that.
And also, Grant was doing Final Crisis at the same time. So, like, the
Right.
big event was written by the same guy. So they
Yeah.
were in control of the whole vision of things.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
All-time great. I mean, we've just gushed about it for 5 minutes or whatever it's been.
yeah.
If you've never read that, go read Grant's run-up. And Marco will talk to you guys about his thoughts.
He better have good things to say.
For real. But that leaves us only one thing left to do, which is to do pals.
Pull
Pools.
our
This is
pals.
where we're going to tell you guys the books that we're most excited about next week. You might even hear us review some amount of these on the show.
Yeah. So I'm interested in Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. It's a one shot. There were 2 that came out today, I believe. I think Miss Marvel and Wolverine came out today, and I think Miss Marvel and the Avengers. There was another one I felt like that came out today. But I just think that Miss Marvel and Moon Knight is a weird ass pairing. It makes really no sense. But I'm kind of interested in it. So there's that. And then the Echolands Volume 1 hardcover comes out next week.
Oh, hey. That's cool.
Oh, Sean, you gotta check this out.
Oh, I already have, dude. I have all of the issues.
Oh, have you read them? I didn't know you were reading them.
One. Yeah. I read
Oh,
the first
dude, it gets really good. This is an experience, and I'm really interested to see how it translates hardcover. This book is landscape. It's not portrait, which wrinkle number 1 right there. But also, a lot of the splash pages fold out like a poster. So there is a tactile thing. Like, this does not really work digitally, I'm afraid to say.
Right.
Like, you literally have to pull out the pages at some points. Then there's about 4 pages worth of one giant panel. It is a J.H. Williams III, probably a modern day master. Not probably, it is. He is a modern day master.
So, yeah.
He draws multiple different art styles within the same panels. So you have characters. I was pitching this to Matt. You have characters that look like Tintin interacting with Barry Windsor Smith's Frankenstein in the same panel, while there's a guy that looks like a Jack Kirby Eternal fighting them from the background. Like, it plays with the idea of just comic book art styles, but also like animation art styles too, and news strip art styles. It plays with art really as a storytelling device to give you characters, and like the art style then dictates to what the character is, which it's good. It's good looking. It's good super high fantasy stuff. So yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, we get early access to Image books. And I was so excited for Echolands that I wanted to jump the gun and read it digitally. And that's how you know I was hyped. Yep. So I opened that file and I tried. And I was like, wait a second, this ain't working. I cannot do this.
I bought issue 1 digitally and I read it and I was like, man, I need this. I need this physically. So I went to 3 stores trying to find it because I went like a week later. And I eventually found one, and I was like, all right, this is the only way I could read this.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. You are pulling Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler, #1 by Tom King and Mitch Gerads.
So when they previewed that we would be getting these One Bad Day one-shots, this was one of the ones that I was most excited about because it's a creative team that obviously is so amazing. Tom and Mitch, that's fantastic. But it's also a character that I really enjoy. You know, the Riddler was into Batman, and that's cool and all. But the comic book version of the Riddler, I've always found to be fascinating. And this is taking that character and kind of maybe pushing him over the edge. And I'm interested to see what that looks like.
The pitch, from what I remember, is like trying to give each of these Rogues Gallery villains their killing joke, right?
Right. Yep.
Man, if there's a team that can try and pull something off, it's these guys. And I think it was Mitch's dream project, from what I remember him saying.
I feel like he said something like that, and then I also think he said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said something to the effect of if it broke 100,000 buys, he would get a tattoo or something.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I'm excited for this. We're getting a Two-Face one too down the line, right?
We're getting a Two-Face one. There's
Clayface.
a whole bunch. Clayface, Catwoman, a whole bunch.
Clayface, another one. Underrated.
I am
Underrated.
stoked for that one.
Yeah, me too. You're also pulling surprise, surprise. Do a power bomb number 3. Are they fighting orangutans?
Yo, I think they are, man.
And they're
That's
wearing
exciting.
like classic, like Olympic wrestling singlets. So like, the idea that I had where like each tag team is their own style of wrestling, I think I was onto something.
Yeah, I mean, this book is so cool and so fun. I can't wait to see what Daniel Warren Johnson has in store for us. And when you put animals on a cover, especially if they're gorillas or apes,
Oh, the Marvel Apes variants must have done damage to your wallet.
I don't think I bought a single one. But
Oh, okay, well.
especially if they can talk, that's a hook. And then it's wrestling. Like, hello,
Yeah.
there's never been a book more for me.
These are just the Creed brothers from NXT 2.0, from what I'm seeing here. These orangutans are in Diamond Mine.
Unreal.
Yeah, I'm. This is like an insta pick whenever it comes out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Marco's not here, but he's picking up Strange number 5. I guess Marco stuck with this apparently.
Yeah. I mean, it was good.
I didn't stick with it.
Me neither.
But he's not here to talk about it, so whatever. And then Avengers X-Men Eternals AXE Death to the Mutants one shot. I'm guessing this is just another like what the Green Lantern thing we just read was, where it's just like a good little tie-in book.
Do you know the creative team here?
I know Kieran Gillen's writing it. That much I
Okay.
know.
Cool. So now that I read AXE Judgment Day number 2, I'm less excited, but you can always get me with a clean tie. So if this is good, that's going to hype me up for number 3.
Yeah, it looks like Gio Villanova is the artist. I'm unfamiliar with who that is. But yeah, well, it's a tie-in. So, and there's a variant by Lanil Yu that literally has the X-Men face-to-face versus the Eternals. So maybe this is more of a. I can see this being maybe what was happening on the island while they were fighting, like little snapshot stories here and there. But sure.
You guys will very likely be reading that next week. So,
and that was our pulse. So,
yeah.
Kale's too busy doing his walkabout in the U.S. right now. So,
yeah, we'll see him in a couple weeks. Thank you, Tyler. It's been great duoing with you, tag teaming, as some might say.
Yep. Not like the Creed brothers, more like what kind of tag team will we be? Not a Hardy Boys. I'm not getting a Hardy Boys feel.
Not the Hardy Boys.
I'm gonna say Dominic and Rey Mysterio.
Whoa!
I want to be Dominic.
Oh, all right. Listen, because you want to get beat up by Rhea Ripley, I get that.
Yo, I've anytime anyone posts about that, I just reply on Twitter with the Dolph Ziggler "It Should Have Been Me" video. I have that on deck now, just ready.
You know, I like to think of us as two-man power trip.
Okay.
Triple H and
Okay.
Steve Austin. I'll be Steve Austin.
This is OP. That's an OP team.
Yeah, and it also means you're going to tear your quad really fast. Like within 2
Yep.
minutes.
And also means I'll have a horrible Katie Vick storyline eventually too. So.
Moving past that, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it as ever. Let us know if there are any books you want us to review for next week. You can do that by leaving us a comment wherever it is possible to leave a comment. We will check it, we will read it, and we may choose your book. Who knows? Patreon.com/thecomicspals. If you want to support us, we'd appreciate that. Twitch.tv/thecomicspals. You can watch this show live every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10:15 Eastern a.m. for the main show. Chainsaw Man Book Club. Come join our Discord. Come hang out with us. Join our Discord. Lots of fun stuff going on over there all the time. Great community.
Yeah, we did a little stream of multiverses this past week too. So like, Sean and I had some fun, and I hear Sean's kind of a fan of it. So
Yep.
maybe if you're in the Discord and you want to talk about that in the video juegos section, we can get another stream going if there's some listener feedback.
Yeah, totally.
I know Snake of Talents. I know you play. So
yeah, we got a couple people that play. But thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you guys next time. Until then, we're the Comics Pal signing off. Take care, guys.
see you next week. Ooh, I got to do it this time. All right, cool.